I am with that. You know what I'm saying?
Wonderful. I think it's wonderful that you're doing that.
Yeah, I'll give you a full report when I come back.
I mean, that's the whole goal here is to no longer have any of these, just
That's
to be present.
and that's why this is going to be a wonderful experiment.
Yep.
So anyway, I'll shut up.
I go on Gather sometimes in the morning, and Ken Wapnick, he teaches in a way to me that is so spectacular. Like you just know that none of this matters, none of it.
Mhm.
Sometimes I still think, because I still listen to the ego, that's serious, and it doesn't help because it's not a serious thing. This path, it's, in my opinion, you just kind of let it go and just don't even, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You can't get it wrong, is what I'm trying to say. You can't get this wrong.
All
Because it's
right.
not
So,
up to us. It's not up to us. So
all right. So I got us up and going on YouTube. And what are we reading this morning? Forgiveness in Jesus or
you
uh
have that? You have that book?
what? Forgiveness in Jesus?
Yeah.
Is that the one you want to read? What do you want to
No, I
read?
mean, the one that I wanted to read, I don't care. I like them all, but I'd love to do it, Forgiveness in Jesus, because I have the book. But the thing is, we could do just the healing the unhealed mind. That's the whole point here, just to heal the mind. What does
That's
that
what
mean? Yeah,
okay,
it
I
means letting it go.
yes. Yeah, I guess Mickey and Karen are reading the Forgiveness in Jesus. I just had two Ken Wapnick books up and I couldn't remember which one we were reading. So
Yeah,
that's
I mean, this morning he had such a great. I mean, he really gives you like all the willingness to want to just say, "I'm done. I'm just so done. I don't want it anymore. I don't want the world." Because it's an
that's
awful place. It really is. I was scared when it would say from, with starving creatures and all that. Like the ego in me got scared of that, but no more.
no more. Okay.
No more.
So here we are. We have uh, healing the unhealed mind, and where we left off the last time. Uh, we're let's see. Do you want to start with if you find really sorrowful? Right?
I want to get my computer set up, but I can do
Oh,
it on my phone, either or. I can do it right now because the phone's actually probably easier for me. So let me just see.
I have not figured out how to do it on my phone. I'm terrible at it because it's so
That's just
tiny.
luck. Anything I get is just, well, or who knows why, but I know, but it's
Well,
on my phone.
it's so bad
Well, you
that
facilitate, so I don't know that I'd even. Now we used to in Gather do the, I would help out in Awakening Together and in Gather years ago. But somehow my brain doesn't seem to be working the same way. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. I
right.
don't
This is
know.
real important what we're reading here. So, uh,
Where are we?
all right, we are. Let me see here. I just moved back a couple pages. False versus true empathy. We're reading, and uh, we're on. I don't know what page. Somewhere around 105, 106, depending on your book. Because I have on Kindle and I have it larger font so people can read.
No, I love that you did that. Now, where do I begin?
The central idea of the power of our minds. Can
The
you see that?
central, yeah, the central idea of the power of our minds to choose is reinforced when we consider that when we make other people's suffering real, we ultimately condemn them to being healed. Wait, condemn them to being an unhealed. I can't. It didn't make sense. Somehow, if we
About,
start to have compassion for a sick body, what is this? Okay.
okay. All right. So, yeah. So let me do something here. What do I need to do? How do I do this? I know I can. Does it with this way? All right. I'm taking it back to single column. Okay, there. So the central idea of the power of our minds, that's where you just started reading. So if you want to just start there from the
Yeah, the
that.
central idea of the power of our minds to choose is reinforced when we consider that when we make other people's suffering real, we ultimately condemn them to being a body, making it impossible to respect the power of their decision making minds to choose differently. It's all about what am I? You could say your mind, but the most important thing is to say your decision making mind. Because when you say choose again, if you were a person, you couldn't do that because it just wouldn't work out that way. So it's always coming back to that decision maker. Who's making the choice? Well, we are as a mind. So this is a very difficult lesson to be sure. You know the point I made earlier that this is a very difficult course. No matter how many times Jesus says it, it is simple.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Simple. It is difficult because only the emphasis is that we are minds. And what it means to be a mind is that we have the power to choose a different teacher. I mean, Sharon can't do that, right? Well, Sharon is really neutral because only the ego is the opposite. You can stay here as a neutral body. But anyway, that is the core of Jesus's teaching. This entire course is based on that. Don't let anyone tell you anything else. It is only about regaining the mind's decision making power. That is why over and over again we are told to choose. At the very end of the text comes choose once again. Even in the midst are living in a world of war and suffering. We want to remember we are mind that can decide to be at peace no matter what. If you think like I'm Sharon and I have these children that I love more than anything, that's going back into the ego mind because there is nothing here. So, when a good practice for my mind would be when I'm with my children to remember I'm mind. Like I'm just seeing myself. I'm not seeing really them. I'm seeing what I think of them through my filter. So if you find yourself feeling sorry for people who are suffering, which is a normal thing to feel, you are but reinforcing the fact that we are not minds but bodies. He's an amazing teacher. And that the separation actually happened. It is more difficult lesson, but its value cannot be overestimated. Now, I just want to say, I read a book years ago, and I don't know if I ever told anybody in the room, but it was called Would You Forgive? And this woman, her name's Lois. She was I think has her doctorate in psychology, but she had abuse that I absolutely, like it was a disturbing book. Now, why did I buy it? I had no idea. I was in the 12 steps at the time, I think. So maybe I was in the course too, but what I was getting at is the worst story that she told about what her parents did to her and her sister. I won't even repeat. That's how hard it was to even read it. So all these scholars got on that were really well known in awakening and just understanding that real forgiveness is that nothing happened. But Ken Wapnick, he said he pointed out how horrible the story is in his magnificent way, in his way of describing how horrid the ego can get. And he's telling her yes. But see, for this woman to forgive, she would have to know she's a mind. Because if she thinks she's the daughter of these people, she's never going to be able to forgive. So it's always, always, always like there's only one card I should carry with me. I am the decision making mind. Because once you realize that, you're a choice all the time. Anyway, anybody else have to want to share?
Yeah, wow. So this is really beautiful and interesting way that Ken presents this, and it's absolutely the perfect way to see it. Is that if I'm looking at you and I'm feeling sorry for you, I'm condemning you to being a body. I'm going to say you are that poor, pitiful thing. Oh, I feel so bad for you.
I love
So
that. I love that. That's a great exercise for me.
yeah, yeah. So looking at a person's story and deciding that they're pitiful is an attack. It really is just
Right.
saying you are not the son of God.
Right.
I feel bad for you because you are small and weak and helpless. And the fact is uh, that they are the Holy Son of God. And when I say that I, they're pitiful and sad, I feel bad for them. Hi, Marcy. When I'm
Morning.
feeling bad for them, I am condemning them to be in a body and saying that they are not a mind that can choose for themselves. I love this thought because this is something that has come to me over and over and over through the years, that feeling sorry for people is condemning them, it's cursing them, looking at them and thinking that they're, oh, that poor baby, he can't, he'll never recover from this terrible thing. Oh, you poor woman, you'll never recover. You're just so pitiful. That's condemning, that's cursing them. It's not saying, oh, you holy son of God, this is nothing. It's saying, and in the world, you can't really do that without people thinking you're a monster. And so you do have to have compassion, and we do have compassion for these people and these things. But having
You don't want to
compassion,
feed it. Right. You don't want to feed it.
yeah, yeah, true empathy says they are, it's like, saying, oh, I kicked the side of the Empire State Building and now it's permanently damaged by my foot. No, the Empire State Building is huge and powerful and strong and massive, and my little attack can't do anything to it. So stop attacking your brothers by feeling sad for them, and start helping our brothers by seeing them as the Holy Christ that's all powerful and not pitiful. Anyway, Marcy has her hand up. Please go ahead, Marcy.
No,
I think, go ahead.
I was listening to part of Keith's discussion from Sunday because I missed it as usual. And it wasn't making sense until he got to the point where he said all things are working together for good. And then he said, except in the ego's opinion. And that kind of opened up and moved the dust out of the way in my mind, was the ego's opinion.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's basically saying the same thing that you're saying, but it was
Yeah, and it's a jewel. It really is. It's
yeah.
like a jewel. It's so when you get that because I most of the time would go back to Sharon, the character, and think, how can I possibly do that with my children? But of course I can, because they're safe. They're in the mind. What's mind? It's awareness. They don't even have any form. Things happen to people, and I'm sure it's hard to watch your children go through anything, as I know. But at the same time, it's time now. It's just time to just say, I don't want this. I don't want anything that has to do with the energy of the ego. The ego's energy is harsh. Spirit's energy is a flow. And it's right here, right now, just in the present moment. So I'm so glad you're here, Mark. I'm so glad. I forgot to call you yesterday to remind you too.
I've actually got it on my calendar, so if I don't look at my calendar, I might be a little lost, but it's down.
Okay. No, I so get it.
I think
yeah,
I
I
missed
do.
last week, so sorry about that.
Yeah,
Well,
we
if you
missed.
miss a week, we just miss you. That's all. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, I missed you too. I missed you all too after I realized I wasn't there.
And where were you? I was here.
I was here in my house.
We were all here.
Well, you're
I
still
might have
here
been
no matter
snoozing.
what. If you're not informed, it doesn't matter, Mark. Right? We're
Yeah.
all going to train ourselves. We are no longer these people. These
Yeah.
people are going to give us suffering. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. You can't not suffer as an ego. You can't, because it's a conflict device. It's just all about conflict. You know,
Right.
years ago, I remember Lisa Natoli got on to Facebook and said, I'm done with conflict. And I thought that was a great statement, teaching herself, because once you say it out loud, it just gets stronger, you
Yeah.
know? And I was not ready for that. I really wasn't. I mean, I'm ready now, but, you know, I think that the course is really just it's a beautiful process, but I would always say if somebody was starting it, just listen to Ken Wapnick because you're going
Yeah,
to
right.
learn from a real master.
Or Pirate Pete.
I love, you know, the thing is like, but Ken makes it like so great. Like in Waking Together, the thing that, and this is all me because there was no Waking Together, but I took this awakening so freaking seriously. And when I came back, when you opened this room, which was what, about 3 years ago? You opened it again?
Uh,
When?
no, it's been anyway. It don't matter. It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
know either. But here's the thing, it just, the course was where I started, and all the other teachings reflect it. Look, I love the untethered soul. I was listening to Michael this morning. I love it all because it's all saying the same thing. But the course brought me back to the psychology. The way the course does the psychology of the human mind can't be understated.
yeah. Well, it's real interesting. I just wanted to say this real quick before I forgot it. First off, Bob has posted that this is also the idea behind Ho'oponopono. This idea of
Oh,
the sovereignty of the mind of all beings being the same. Um, I also loved listening to Keith this week because his program from Sunday was really great. Um, he went into kind of a little bit of a tirade about all of these continuation of the course, addition to the course. The course didn't have this part, so I got an inspiration. Now I'm writing this, and look at all the books that have come on after the course that have said that. The course didn't say like the way of mastery, the
right.
course of
NTI? Yeah.
NTI. Not so much. I don't think NTI said, this where something was missed in the Course of Miracles. I think it just reinterpreted the New
Oh, yeah,
Testament.
you're right. Oh, you mean the other books are saying that something was missed in the Course of Miracles?
Yes, yeah, and
Who
and
said
and that.
that?
Uh, well, it's something that says in the Course of Love. Says it's almost like Jesus is saying, if Jesus actually wrote that book, it's like Jesus is saying, "Oh, by the way, here's what I forgot to tell you when I gave Helen the course," and then some other additional things that really, how could you add to something that is 100% already? You're going into Republican math that way. But you can't make something more than all. And A Course of Miracles, absolutely. I can't even doubt that there's anything missing in A Course of Miracles, or something that was left out, or that something that was an oversight. If you do the Course of Miracles, it is 100% package. And basically it says that, if you're going to do this, don't do anything else. Ken says that. If you're
He
going to do,
always says that. Yeah, he always says that.
yeah, and it's because all it does is lead you astray. You start getting involved in all these other stories about, oh, what happened to my past lives, and
Right.
these spirits, my spirit guides are leading me to this or that. Where the fuck are your spirit guides? Pardon my language. There's no such thing as my spirit guides. There
Well,
is.
There's oneness
Oh,
talking like there is, right?
what's that?
Yeah. There's oneness talking like there is
Like there's more
reincarnation.
than one. Yeah. If there's more than, if we each have individual uh uh angels that are following us, which is, something that, a lot of people believe also. I have my guardian angel. It was given to me when I was born, or my guardian angel, or I have this. I just heard someone talking about all these different angels that have been assigned to us for this, that, and the other thing. And it's like there's some like a little hierarchy in heaven, and there's
Right,
all
that
these,
we got somebody special.
well, all these different little beings that are going
Right.
around doing these different things. When the course just says there's nothing else. This is one thing. There's nothing else. So, if you're doing the course and you're looking for something else, it's because you don't understand the course. It's because you really are not getting the course.
I think
Because if
it's
you,
fear. I think it's fear of the radical things it says. It's just like because
well,
took me years to really see, and that readiness comes from spirit, As far as like, getting a teacher or anything like that, there's no teacher but the one. And the one and the thing we're going to listen to tonight, if you can come, Marcy, it's a good, I don't know if you listen to this one, but Quinn's going to play something from Carl Jung, and it's all about the fact that no one's teaching you but your inner teacher. So the inner teacher decides where it's going to benefit you to be. So let's say I had Regina as my teacher. So I one day said to her, because it just came clear, like, you've never taught me anything. And she said, well, that's clarity, Sharon. Of course not. There's no her. It's the mind of the Holy Mind that's just saying to us, listen, you're wasting the time. There's no time, but you're wasting the time you are here by believing in this ridiculous play, and it is ridiculous, you
and
know.
by around for something to save you, when the only thing that's actually going to save you is accepting this in our own mind. So, what we're reading, Healing the Unhealed Mind, really does go into depth about how how to overcome that resistance, and to
Right.
actually allow the Holy Spirit to heal uh, your mind, because there's yeah, I don't know, it's just the whole
No,
idea
you're
that,
making sense. You're making sense. The thing about Ken is he's like a surgeon. Okay, he is the teacher that. Well, I really believe that Robert's work was amazing last night. I thought it was so
well,
profound. But because Ken is really, I mean, if you read this book, the and it's a very long book, just like The Absence of Felicity, the you know, A Symphony of Love. He's basically was chosen to be he didn't get that title, nor would he ever say he had that title, but you can know inside that he was picked to teach this course because he's positively brilliant. He's just brilliant.
okay,
Like
so
this morning. Yeah,
stop
I'm
there,
sorry.
stop there. He was not picked to do anything. He chose to do something.
Well, before he came in, you think, or because I think that
No,
I
I think we're all a part of the plan. Everything that's
right, we
happened.
did it together. We did it as oneness. So whatever
Oh,
part we have is coming from all of us.
yeah, the role was there, and he was the one who chose it. Nothing picked him. There, when we talk about it being chosen, what does that mean? That means that there's something special. There's something different.
Yeah, I
That they
love what you just said. I love it.
He didn't have
Very
anything
helpful.
anybody else did. He played his part. I'm playing my part. You're playing your part. We're all playing our part. And when we play our part without resistance and with acceptance, then we can do a really good job at it, like Ken did. If we play it I think I want to add this, or I think this, and God thinks otherwise, or I think other than God thinks. If we choose ourselves, then you know that you can't just rise up and say, I'm going to replace Ken Wapnick in the uh, eyes of the world as the greatest teacher of A Course in Miracles, or I'm going to re-edit the book that
I know
Jesus,
people do that. Yeah.
because I think I know better. See, I think I know better, so I'm going to do it better. And of course, they're all playing their role. Everyone is playing their role.
Yeah,
Uh,
none of it needs, yeah. And who knows, like with Marie Perron, I think, for Jesus to get her attention, he would say, "You missed this." He was really talking to her. He
yeah,
wasn't talking to the whole world. He was talking to her. You missed this in the course, even though it says it. See, the point is, the Course in Love is a beautiful, beautiful book, and I loved, it's beautiful on Audible and all. But I got to tell you that the Course in Miracles is set up to really undo the ego, because it
right.
really tells you you are not that. You never were here. You are looking at nothing. You are hallucinating. There's not a teaching out there that says
Yeah.
that I know of. I could be wrong.
And I think, A Course of Love, yeah, it's beautiful, but its purpose is to make you feel more comfortable in the world. The
Yeah,
purpose to soothe your heart, soothe your jagged emotions or whatever. And when anything that implies that A Course in Miracles is not about love is, or that doesn't include the heart, it's obviously straight ignorance, because that's all A Course in Miracles is about, love and the heart. So, if you didn't get that from reading the course and you had to go and rewrite it yourself based on what you thought it should be, I mean, you can do that and it all works out. And there's lots of people that are really happy in the world because they're studying that book. Well, it's not made to make you happy in the world. A Course in Miracles is not made to make you have a happy world. A Course in Miracles
because
is made,
yeah, yeah. Because when you look at the fact that the only reason we're happy is because we're not here.
right.
That's the most important part. We are
That's,
not here.
and to recognize that I'm not here is the miracle.
Right.
That is the miracle. Otherwise, like I said, there's a lot of people that want to use these courses to make the world a better place, to give us a
Yeah.
happy, and that is not what it's here. And this is what he's saying. Let me just read this from this. Um, the reason we are here is to learn that we are not here. The course says, how else can you find joy in a joyless place except by realizing that you are not there? That
Right.
is what he's saying. How do you find joy in a place that is filled with such pain and suffering, quote, a dry and dusty world where starved and thirsty creatures come to die? That's from the workbook, part two, lesson. Um, let's see, whatever. I don't know how that all goes. This is the world. This is this world, and it is not a joyful place. How do you find joy here? By realizing that the world has never left its source in the illusory mind and therefore is not real. Learning that is true joy. And
Mm.
and that's it. If teach that, don't teach that the world can become a loving place. The world will never be a loving place. It was not made to be a loving place. It was made to be a dry and dusty world where starved and thirsty creatures come to die. And the only way that we're going to have a happy world is by forgiving everything about this world and seeing the truth of what's here, which is heaven behind it all.
It's
And
funny. When you talk about when you talk about this, I think of manifestation. That teacher I went to see, a couple of years ago in England. I didn't go to England, but you know who it was. I just don't want to name anybody anymore. But in any case, she was all about manifestation. Well, of
yeah,
course, never talks about manifestation. You're going to get what you want in the world, but that's meaningless. That's why it doesn't manifestation to me is still a lot of concepts there. Like, I want that. That's a real concept. No, it's not even real. Okay. It's a thought in your mind. So, what, you want a new boat or you want a big school or whatever? You know what I mean? It's just like there's no common sense when you start to think about, or when you start to see that what would manifestation do? It wouldn't do anything but make it more real, don't you think?
exactly right, Sharon. That is absolutely, you are right on with that. And that's when Course in Miracles students get started involved in all that other, I'm manifestation or getting what I want or making my world better or whatever, they have completely lost the point. And there's nothing. I'm not condemning them for doing that because it's so easy. If I thought I could make something special and get, suddenly become a billionaire, I mean, ask yourself the question. Um, I could either become, rich and powerful, have everything I ever wanted in the world, or I could remember the truth about what I am and return home to God. You can choose now which one you want. You know what a lot of people will do, including me probably? Well, I can always choose that later. Let me get the $1 billion now because the
Yes, 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 yes. And that we do subconsciously because we don't want it. The subconscious is doing the whole thing. So we as egos, we don't want this. We like being special.
yeah,
And what we have to do is say to Jesus, listen, I really don't want specialness anymore. I really don't, but I do. Up until now, I really wanted it. So help me out here. What do I need? Because that is the last remaining thing. Because if you don't think you're special, you don't think you're a person. You think you're just part of the sameness. It's just this unchangeable awareness. And that's the only way you get total peace because it's all equality. It's what we read last night.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. And
Marcy, do you want to share? Mark?
um,
Not right
She
now.
might have.
I'm good.
Okay.
so Bob says that was the mistake I made with my book Manifestation and the Happy Dream. You're not the only one, Bob. That's so sweet. Robin Busfield, who used to be a teacher here on Gather, and she's from Hawaii. Well, she's from Australia, but she lives in Hawaii. And she had written several books, I guess, on manifestation, and she was really into that. And then she found A Course in Miracles and realized, oh, that's really not what what I'm.
Yeah.
But of course, she already had those books out there, and I'm sure they're helping somebody out somewhere. But yeah, and there's no mistakes. There's no
Well, I
mistake.
think that, right. I think they talk about prosperity in some of the spiritual groups and the prosperity they teach you with manifestation. Well, there's nothing to get here. When you get the message that you're not here, and your children aren't here and your dog's not here. This is just a movie. It's actually a rerun every day of Groundhog Day. Every day we are repeating the tiny mad idea. And that's why when you were talking about past lives, that's making a story up that could be real. When this is just a happening, the Big Bang was a happening. And each time we go there, we are redoing that happening where where we looked at terror instead of like what's really here, which is this gorgeous peace that passed all understanding.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny. I'm not going to say what actually Bob posted in the room that he was mixing a certain spiritual teacher with A Course in Miracles. And I got to tell you what, I was with some people that we went out to see her. We went out to Los Angeles to see this teacher. And about halfway through the show, I was just uh, Jennifer Nuhulu and I went together with Lisa and Bill. And halfway through the thing, Jennifer and I were just looking at each other, going, "What the hell is this?" and 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 uh, and I mean, it was like oh my gosh, it was a whole production, and all they were doing was trying to get people to, sign over your 401k. I know our course is expensive, but figure out a way. And people were lining up at the back of the room to these tables to sign up for these courses that were supposed to help them bring prosperity. And like I said, Jennifer and I were like, "What? Did we just fall into a separate, different dimension? How in the world does this have anything to do with, spirituality, Course in Miracles, whatever?" this person is a very respected teacher in some spiritual circles, and I'm just, again, it just shows how easy it is to get caught up in the world of uh, money and power and whatever. But after we had come back, Jen and I were back in Colorado, and we got on her computer and we looked this person up, this person that we had just spent like 2 days listening to all their spiel and everything, and we're, thinking that were we going to teach this person's methods to people in our group. And Jen and I looked this person up and found out that this person was indicted for stealing millions of dollars from this community, and her husband actually went to prison, um, and as a part of a plea bargain, so that she could stay out and keep doing her thing while he was in prison. And we called up uh, uh, Lisa and Bill. I called up Bill and I said, "Did you know this?" And he goes, "Lynn, I wish you had never looked that up." I'm like, okie dokie. And that was when I actually just started doing Gather. But anyway, it's just so funny because this
There
whole
was a time that Lisa would advertise prosperity and all of that, and
right.
and not because she just followed her path, like just like Robert, just like me. I just never. I felt it was conflicting. I did feel it was conflicting with the course, because why would you manifest? And when Keith gets started with that he puts it right out real quick. Like, what are you doing that for? Why would you want a new car? Practicality, yes, but I think being a billionaire is actually a curse, because it puts the ego in an inflated place where it can't. The sameness is the only way you're going to ever be peaceful, and peace is the only thing that matters here. Otherwise,
And
you're in hell.
being anything that is special. And so being a billionaire is a curse. Being a victim is a curse.
Yes, yes,
Being I'm a downtrodden woman. I've been abused. I'm a minority person. I've been abused. I'm anytime we separate ourselves out and make ourselves special in a way, whether it's positive, negative, good, bad, whatever, that is rejecting the truth of what we are and believing that we're this body in this world that has to operate the way that the world operates. And this course is teaching us you can get completely out of all of the operation of the world. You can let go of any dependence on it because you're not dependent on it. That's a thought. Your dependence on the world is imaginary. That's why, like Joel Goldsmith, infinite supply. The whole idea of infinite supply is not that we manifest things; it's that we have everything already. And all infinite supply is recognizing is that, or invisible supply is recognizing is that it's here already. I have it. I have everything I need. And I don't have to manifest or work for or try or do. I just have to be and be what I am. And that's the Holy Son of God that has everything and is missing nothing. So, okay, so I'm going to go back okay, this is a very difficult lesson, to be sure. You know the point I made earlier that this is a very difficult course. No matter how many times Jesus says it is simple, it is difficult because its only emphasis is that we are minds. And what it means to be a mind is that we have the power to choose a different teacher. That is the core of Jesus's teaching. This entire, he's not saying is love one another. He's saying you have the power to choose. That's the core of the teaching. This entire course is based on that. Don't let anyone tell you anything else. It's only about regaining the mind's decision-making power. That is why, over and over again, we are told to choose. At the very end of the text comes, choose once again, text chapter 31, section 8. Even midst our living in a world of war and suffering, we want to remember we are a mind that can decide to be at peace. If you find yourself feeling sorry for people who are suffering, which is a normal thing to feel, you are but reinforcing the fact that we are not minds but bodies, and that the separation actually happened. It is a most difficult lesson, but its value cannot be overestimated. The reason we are here is to learn that we are not here. The Course says, how else can you find joy in a joyless place except by realizing that you are not there? That is what this is saying. How do you find joy in a place that is filled with such pain and suffering, a dry and dusty world where starved and thirsty creatures come to die? This is this world, and it is not a joyful place. How do you find joy here? By realizing that the world has never left its source in the illusory mind and therefore is not real. Learning that is true joy. So, anywhere we look for joy other than to the place of choosing again, it's going to be a false joy. It's going to be a temporary joy. It's going to be a joy that is conditional on things, certain things being certain ways. You know, I love my babies. I love my children. I love my house. I love my, country. You know, I love my bank account. I love my spouse. All these things that we say we love are all things that are temporary and conditional and unreal. So the things that we think are bringing us joy is total unreality. The joy is in our mind already. And all we have to do is remember that that joy is the reality, and it's reflected in our children, our home, or whatever it is that we love. It's reflected in that, but that's not it. Those are just symbols. So learning that is true joy. And then you can be happy anywhere. You can be happy in any situation. But where are you? In your mind. A Course in Miracles is all about the mind. Mind, mind, mind.
The whole point of the course is that it's the most radical. And I think that the readiness for each one of us it's an individualized curriculum. But when you really see that you're in a mind, that the character means nothing, absolutely nothing. All the character is a puppet that we kind of just move around. Now, I started to go back into Brent Haskell's books, and basically, we all know this, that God picks everything and the higher self. So anything that we go through in this world, whether the ego made it up or not, spirit does choose the story. And in this journey, I think it was Journey Without Distance, or it was the other,
Journey beyond.
Journey Beyond, and then the other voice was one of them. But it was just saying basically that the mask of the ego doesn't pick anything. It's just like the lessons that we get are picked by us as the infinite. And the lessons are tough lessons, but the lessons are always love and forgiveness, because love and forgiveness are the same thing. You can only get the stillness from living in the stillness. You can't try to get in the stillness because you already are the stillness. That's all that's here. So
Yeah, and so letting go of the what's not real leaves you with nothing but the stillness. That's the gift of it. So Ken says, A Course in Miracles is all about the mind, 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 mind. The Bible and Jesus' gospel teachings are all about the body, 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 body. This body is only about this book is only about the mind. The challenge, therefore, is to be present to people's bodily suffering, emotionally and physically, to be kind to them, and meet their needs on the level they can accept, yet knowing that the real suffering is found in the mind's decision for guilt. And because the mind decided for guilt, it can easily decide for innocence. This is the truth you want to demonstrate to the sick and suffering, demonstrated not by what you say or do, but how you are. And again, when we're talking about dealing with people that are suffering, that appear to be suffering outside of us ourselves, we don't try to convince them, oh, geez, if you just change your mind, you'd feel better. All we have to do is the Ho'oponopono way, is change our own mind about that.
That's
When
right,
I,
because then once we see clearly, we then can project onto them the I am presence. And if they're open, they can get it. And if they're not, we're all open throughout the day. We have to be, because we really aren't these people. So if we see our brother as ourself and we see our brother as stillness, automatically we're stillness, they're stillness, and there's no story.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and so it's not about changing the people, it's about changing my own mind. When I change my own mind, that is what changes the world. And so uh, it's okay. The truth you want to demonstrate to the sick and suffering, demonstrating not by what you say or do, but how you are. You demonstrate that the decision you made for the Holy Spirit as your teacher, they can make too. The same decision you made to remember you are a mind who can choose peace instead of conflict, they can make as well. That is how you help.
Yes.
It is the only way you can help, which is why Jesus told Helen not to ask him to take her fear away, because that was not the problem and would not be helpful. It would deprecate, denigrate, dismiss, and render powerless the only thing in the universe that could help her, the mind's power to choose.
Right.
Therefore, we want to hold ourselves up as examples of having chosen to be above the battleground as healed minds. And then, most important of all, to be patient with ourselves when we become afraid and flee back to the body. And again, Ken brings it right back to myself. This, all the things that I'm, trying to do in the world or doing in the world or whatever, it all comes back to um, my own mind, my own choices. And it's so easy to get caught up in looking at, the starving people in Gaza, and I feel so bad for them. Well, that right there, I'm condemning them to be in bodies and starving. From
Without
my,
even realizing it,
yeah,
without it, Eckhart Tolle says in Stillness Speaks, it's violent. It's absolutely violent to think of somebody in a body, because there is no body here. It's just, there's no form. It's all made out of the same thing, awareness.
right, right. And if I condemn you to be in that body, then if I see you as that body and you see you as that body, we both agree that you are that body and you are suffering. If I refuse to agree with that, and I look at you and I think, this is the Holy Son of God, the Christ right before me, in all its broken ways, all its ragged ways. I think the ways Mother Teresa saw all the people that came to her. If how could she have not seen their dignity, their intelligence, their strength, their beauty? I mean, it becomes really evident when you're around people who are in a very, very bad situation, how strong they really are to be able to even exist. When I see mothers carrying, babies, they're all like skeletons and have lost everything, and yet they still have that hope for life, that urge to live and to protect and take care of themselves. That is an incredibly strong being that I'm seeing there. And for me to then throw them into a pit by calling them pitiful and saying, I feel bad for you and I'm going to pray for you and I'm going to, my heart is breaking for you and I'm going to send money to these people for you. All of that, every bit of that is negating the work that they are already doing themselves to maintain their humanity, to maintain their being as they are. So, work with them, not against them. And you don't think it's working against them by feeling sorry for them, but it is. It's,
No,
yeah,
because it sounds nice. Well, for this realm, compassion can be used, but you also have to come back to the truth of who you are so you will see who they are. But, there are sometimes I would say people get, arrogant with this thought. And it's not arrogance, it's pure stillness. There's no arrogance in sameness. So, to me, when somebody has something in the world of form tragic, we basically need to, like, in this realm maybe be compassionate, but to understand in the fourth dimension, fifth dimension, you are your consciousness, you've never been a person. So sometimes, like, it's full sympathy because you realize that there's nobody in a body, it's a mind. So I get all of it, but sometimes there's different things you do in the world, but you always know inside that you are not this body, you are nothing. And it's what Robert said, you can't see who they are unless you already see who you are, right? And then he said, being anything in this world is a curse. Yeah. It's funny because we're starting to like, Cliff and I, like fantasy kind of movies and stuff. And there's so much truth in everything that's out there, everything. Like, it's just the awareness of realizing spirit is always talking to itself about, like, giving the message to the seeming egos that are here to get us the hell out of hell. Because we're in hell if we believe this. And then being right, and that's buried real deep. Being right was in my mind because, like, the actual switch of identity is just to just know that you're the knower, that you 100% know that none of this ever happened. This is a picture in the mind. When Sharon dies, nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. And I
yeah,
really, and this is just me because I could be wrong and I'll be okay to be wrong, but I don't really think we come back. I think the I am comes back, but the actual DNA doesn't because we're meaningless. Every soul, God doesn't say, well, I'll give that soul this and that, because there's only one. So depending how we wrote the play, I don't know, but I just feel like, one time Keith got up and he was teaching and he was saying, he's just busted out laughing. He said, what is it that people want to come back here? Like, they want to believe that we have reincarnation. Well, it seems like we do because of the parts we play and, the different books that are out there. But there's a knowing in all of us always. Even like years ago when I was totally unaware of truth, I would question, like, my ex-husband, why does he always play the cat's in the cradle? Because that's about a father that left his kids, and that's basically what he did. And the story of me with him was that everything I saw in him was what I was denying in myself. I was denying that I could be just as arrogant, just as mean. And that goes for Donald Trump, too. If we realize that everybody's innocent, that everybody's the same, everybody has the same ego and the same Holy Spirit, and we don't separate people out, we stop hurting ourselves and the
right.
world.
That's right. And that person I have been blessing, 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 because as I actually came to realize, and we talked about it several times, that if I'm not blessing them, I'm cursing them. And my job is not
Blessing
to.
will put it, yeah, they do it in the 12 steps. They say, you bless everybody because the 12 steps is the lead. The only thing about the steps that's really different is it makes you think this 3D world is real, and
Yeah,
it's not. And God's outside. There was a kid in one of my classes that I was teaching that said in the light is in us. So I was thinking to ask you, Lynn, as a Christian, do you think the light is in you?
well,
Like,
yeah, you do.
your whole life. But why does it become, well, the reason I guess that the course does what it does is because it says at no time does the body exist. So you've always been that soul. So the soul is really the leader in all of it. And all it is love or a call for love. I mean, the world, but it's not a nice world. The picture
Well,
that we
no,
made is not nice. It's not fair.
it's like a book. You pick up a book and read it, and it's got
Right.
all the terrible things that happened to it. Well, you put that book on the shelf. Did anything happen to you? No. You just read a book and you saw all the terrible things. That's it. Those are all part of the story, and none of it is real.
None
So
of it.
any of the body, that's what Jesus tells us, at not one instant does the body exist. You know,
That's right.
Jesus says over and over, this is a world of dreams. We are dreaming.
Well,
We
when
are,
you think about it, like Lenny Rose used to always say that over and over. That was when I began the course, when Lenny was here. And he would say, at no time the body doesn't. And he really was really teaching himself really well. Because honestly, when he was dying, he said, I'm looking forward to it. So
happy, happy, happy. Uh,
he cracked me up, I have to tell you. He made me laugh a lot.
oh, me too. Me too. I love Lenny Rose. But yeah, you know, this. I know. Let's just continue reading. I think this is a good section here that um, talking about concern for a family member's illness.
I'm going to
Uh,
read this. Okay. Is that
okay.
okay?
Yeah.
My sister is severely mentally ill, and I can almost never talk about her without crying. Just to see her very painful. See her is very painful. Today, though, after reading the line from the text that says, in our suffering of any kind, we see our concealed desire to kill, I began to make a connection between that and my suffering because of my sister's illness. I probably have gotten a whole lot of mileage out of her illness, but I don't really know how to grieve it in a way that actually helps me get past it. There's a lot of mental illness in my family, not just her, and it has always been my big fear that I would become ill too. I don't know how to bring those two together. There's a part of me that feels that I have been grieving long enough, and yet it is still really raw. Is that passage saying that my suffering reflects a desire to kill her? To blame my family? To blame my parents? Can you help me understand how the Course would see this? Answer. You would be willing to look at the situation differently from the way you have looked at it all your life. You have seen your sister throughout your life as different from you, while also harboring the fear that you will end up not, and you will end up not being different, that you will end up suffering from mental illness too. That was my greatest fear, by the way, because I had depressions that were really awful. And my mother had mental illness, and honestly, I think on both sides of my parents, there was so much of it. But come back to the fact that we're all mentally ill because we think we're these people, and we think we really are bodies, and that's enough to really see that mental illness is everyone. But let's see what he has to say. So then he says, "You have seen your sister throughout life is different from you, while also harboring the fear that you will end up not being different, that you will end up suffering from mental illness too. As long as you see yourself as daughter in your family and sister to your siblings, there's no way out of it." Now, this is his gift. You see, like I was saying before, like when I think these are my children, I'm mind. There's no children. I'm projecting them. I'm projecting Sharon. The only way out would be, as the Course says, to raise yourself above the battleground. And that's just a completely different realm. Because when you're above the battleground, you're in either the fourth or fifth, where you know that there's nothing but stillness here. And you know that you made it up and none of it mattered. So the truth of the matter is that you are all thoughts in a mind, and as thoughts in a mind, you are all perfect. Your sister represents a distortion of that perfect thought by being imperfect in form. It does not matter whether it is a mental illness or a congenital physical illness. The challenge is not to see her as different. And didn't he say, Mickey showed last night, that sameness is how you see oneness, right? So you're saying that you are tired of feeling this way is really important. In a sense, that is what the invitation to the Holy Spirit or Jesus is. We have to say enough already. The Course says early in the text that everyone's tolerance for pain is high, but we all reach a point where we say there must be a better way. It sounds as if you are at the nearing that point. Now it's interesting because Ken will stress how long this does take. And for me, it has, I don't sit with the book all the time because I'm always feeding myself with something with wisdom. Doesn't, through the Course, I do that, but I also enjoy, just different podcasters. But I have to say that the readiness like that he gives us to know to be gentle, because it takes a while for the mind to finally say, I give up, I'm a mind, and it really takes the willingness to just be done with it, that the body means nothing, that your kids' bodies mean nothing because they can't go anywhere because they're mind. Nobody can go anywhere, nobody's really suffering except illusory, and if you feel it, you do feel it because we're hooked up to senses. But the point is that to say, I'm not a body, I am free, I'm still as God created me, is a good mantra when you really realize that the body's meaningless. So anyway, it says, the better way is to realize that. First, this is the dream of unhealed mind that your family has shared, including your sister, and that the ego lesson is that it makes the world and suffering real. It makes differences and unfair treatment real. The correction for that is to realize this is a classroom in which to learn that your sister is as perfect as you are, as your parents, your brother, and anyone else. Okay, who would like to discuss? Dove, Lynn, anybody? Mickey's here. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So did Mickey want to say something? I'm not
No,
looking,
no.
but uh, but uh, but yeah. This this whole discussion, as he's pointing out, uh, it, not only do we see our brothers or others and ourselves in like as a certain set of things, but we keep them in a cage there that they don't even have opportunity to break out of, and or any reason or need to break out of it, because you keep them there, you care for them in that place, and you nurture their weakness basically, to keep them there, if that makes any sense at all. So
Well, if I'm stuck, they're stuck. That's how I see it, because it's always
right,
you.
right.
So if I'm stuck, they're stuck, and I'm stuck in thought, believing that it really matters, that I'm this person that's been here 70 years, and all this blah, blah, blah.
But when he says, like, reading here, and I see Mickey has her hand up, the most difficult part of this correction process is to realize that you have an investment in seeing them in that way and seeing yourself as the innocent victim. And even harder is realizing that the sadness you feel, that makes it impossible for you to change your mind about her. You're going to think about her and it's going to make you sad, which is showing your concealed desire to kill. Uh, as you were saying, and that you have an investment in seeing her this way. We keep them sick. We keep them in that place, and if she were to have a sudden recovery, you wouldn't believe it. You would think, oh, doctor, there's something wrong now. They think they're sane now. They think, you can't get well when everybody's forcing you to stay sick. uh, Mickey, yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Um, I was listening earlier and then I had to go to my lesson group and now I'm back again. So, and I'm going to flip this over to it applies even to how we feel about ourselves. So I'm going to tell a little story. Yesterday, um, I was in a I was in another group and I was in a weird place because I I was experiencing a grievance for what I perceived as someone's slight towards me or neglect or not, I felt a little unfairly treated. And one of the people in the group said, "Well, you're not going to feel okay until you can love yourself." At which point, inside my head, I went ballistic. That and the whole idea, and inside my head, I was like, "Well, she's just throwing law of attraction shit at me, and I don't want to hear it." And what came out is something that I feel like in that whole setup, I realized, why in the world would I want to make Mickey feel better? Why would I want to love her? That's just another ploy for specialness. Thank you for laughing, Lynn. Yeah, it was the absurdity of somebody telling me to love myself. Just, mm, I, something in my head exploded. And it's like, that's not going to heal this mind any more than somebody else treating me special and loving me. And the whole idea was that I was feeling unfairly treated and looking at that, not to coddle myself and make me feel better. And it's just as demeaning. It's just as much showing the desire to kill as me, wanting to make somebody else feel special and me feeling uncomfortable because they're being mentally ill. I'm being just as mentally ill. Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest because it was bugging me since yesterday that somebody told me to love myself. You gotta laugh.
You do gotta laugh, man. I can see the middle fingers flipping up right then. I'm like, but I would think too.
We're all the same. Yeah. I mean, this is not an original thing. We all get like pissed, you know?
It's hilarious.
It's so unconscious, Mickey. And then you start to laugh, realizing, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, yeah. I thought of Lynn when the whole thing was going on because she and I both have this whole little bit of, dark, dark humor going on.
Oh
Where
my.
I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe you just said that to me. Love myself. That pretty much goes against everything the course says.
Well, let
Yeah.
me ask you something. When it's saying love yourself, are they talking to the love of the capital S or the lower case? Where
No,
they talk?
this is
It was an
that.
insult. It was a direct insult. It was an attack.
All
It
right.
said, you
Yes.
It's
don't
that
love
new
yourself.
agey kind of thing. You need to love yourself more.
Yeah, yeah. Which
Oh,
is
yeah. I didn't even
exactly,
think of that. Yeah. Thanks. I like to get, because we're all one mind. So there's always something that you can
Yeah,
learn from someone else.
yeah,
yeah, because the person that said it to me is very, very new agey.
yeah.
And
It's like in the South, if you see somebody that you is doing something you obviously believe is inferior, you'll say, "Oh, bless your heart,
bless your heart, honey. You
bless
just need
your
to
heart."
love yourself a little bit more.
Nick,
Oh,
if you want to read
yeah.
next, it's up to Lynn too, but I mean, because I'm just doing some stuff because we're each taking turns here. So this is a great book, is it not? Like you could read this over and over. That's how important it is because
Oh, yeah.
there's
Yeah.
just layers of this crap that's in us. So, Lynn, you want her to read? Where do we stop? I don't know.
At the we could reread this paragraph here,
Okay,
because If
Okay,
any,
start with the most difficult part.
yes.
Okay, the most difficult part of this correction process is to realize that you have an investment in seeing her this way as mentally ill, right? And yourself as the innocent victim. Even harder is realizing that the sadness you feel that makes it impossible for you to even think of her or speak about her without crying is showing your concealed desire to kill. Just as you were saying, and that you have an investment in seeing her this way. The tears and the suffering are a way to disguise that by saying this is really, the tears and the suffering are a way to disguise that by saying this is really upsetting you.
Yeah,
The ultimate, yeah.
bump or something. Yeah.
What's that, Lynn?
I said there's like there should be a comma or something there, but I don't know what.
Yeah,
Anyway,
right. Um, yeah, that, if we get upset by somebody, let's say it was a little more serious than just being mentally ill. Let's say it was schizophrenia, which is really hard to deal with. If you're just going to get sad and cry about it rather than trying to see the oneness in all of you, you're attacking, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
because you're seeing them as being. That's what I was talking about last night too. I'm just getting some socks because my feet are cold, and
Hmm.
it's making them less, making them small, making you big, or
And
the
they're
other.
afflicted. They're afflicted and you're not.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm so sad for you. You poor
Yeah.
little thing. Oh, you're totally. And this has probably been one of my biggest lessons, actually, because when I came to understand that uh, the only way that I could really uh, see you is either I see you as being broken or I see you as being whole. And then I started realizing that just as kind of Ken is implying here, whatever the state we appear to be in here in this world is a part of the dream and it's perfect. There's nothing imperfect about it. There's something he said a couple of paragraphs ago that really reflected that as well. That whatever, you could be, you could have cancer, you could be perfectly healthy, you could have, uh, uh, allergies or whatever it is that, the body experience or you experience in the world. These are all the things that are given to us to, to actually transmute, to rise above, to recognize that I am not that thing. And, uh, this is when I look at a brother and see them as being broken, then I'm not accepting them as being perfect. And I'm thinking that I have some, you know, first off basis for judgment, and second off, let me see if I can't fix you. Nothing here needs to be fixed because why? Nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal actually exists. So this is the peace of God coming to the place where I recognize I don't have to do anything. I don't have to fix a broken anything. I don't have to repair or embellish anything. Everything is perfect just the way it is. Uh, and again, talking about things that seem unpleasant, like cancer. You know, cancer is not an evil thing. So many people think, well, it's because I'm weak or I haven't forgiven enough or whatever you blame yourself when you get a sickness like that. But if you just realize that this universe, and this is going to sound really trippy here, but this is the truth. This universe, this dream is one big organic thing. And every part of it, every bit of it is a living being. Just, you think you're a person? You're not a person. There's this body, there it's made up of billions of living creatures who are living out their function, living out their lives happily, getting up and making new blood cells, making new, taking oxygen here and there, taking nutrients here and there, building muscles. Muscles, every muscle cell is a little living being. They're all little, everything is alive here. We are in a living universe. This whole dream is a living organism. And there are some parts of the living organism that live inside your body, and they call themselves, they don't call themselves anything. They call themselves the people. This is what we are. We call them cancer, or a virus, or a heart, or a liver. We call them names because we think that the thinking mind here thinks it's sovereign over all of it, and thinks that this is a one unified thing that belongs to me. It's not. We're just a mind that is inhabiting or projecting or whatever this whole living universe. But we're so focused on our own little point of view, we don't even recognize that or experience that. And some of us have experienced, and uh, if you ever have, it's the most amazing thing. Experience being part of this living universe as it is a whole thing. And it's not what you think. There's nothing, there's no separation of anything here. It's not what you think. And so this mentally ill sister, that's a part of my own thinking. It's my mind. This cancer, this uh, life of starvation, or all of it these are all the projected stories of my mind onto a living organism that we call a forest and they call trees. I mean, a forest is a thing, but it's filled with everything. That's what we are.
And
And
and you can think of a forest as one huge living organism, just like you can think of the earth as
yes,
one huge living organism, and then we're just one little tiny cell in that living organism.
exactly.
And so if one of the cells has gone a little funky, then it's just a cell, and cells die off.
Yeah,
Heart cells die off, they get expelled, they go through the lymph system or the blood system and, get passed through the body in one way or another, just like we do. We're
yeah,
just a little cell in this organism called the earth, and we die off, simple as that.
exactly. And yeah, and it's when you start thinking about it and seeing it that way, then this belief in this sovereign individual that I call me becomes absolutely ridiculous. It's all me, all of it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's like saying the skin cell that I just brushed off my wrist here that was flaking off a little bit. That's saying that one skin cell was so important and significant to the functioning of my body. No, it wasn't.
yeah, and
I'm
and
a
and
little skin cell
yeah,
on the
and
on the face of the organism called the earth. I'm not significant.
absolutely. I've been listening to a lot of Michael Singer lately, and he goes off onto this stuff, and it's just so beautiful. to contemplate, okay, so this thing I think I am is like a nothing. When you look at the weight of everything that's moving forward in the dream, this little part of it is just a little part of it. And to me, it's everything. So, how do I get out of believing that it's everything and get into knowing that it's nothing and that I'm everything? This is all a story. So, and I was thinking about those skin cells when I was talking. Mickey, you must be psychic there, because I was thinking that if the dust in your house, or the dust, most of the dust that we see and find around is actually skin cells that have sloughed off. You lose a lots of skin cells every day. And that's why showering or bathing frequently is probably not a bad thing, or brushing your skin or what, all that dead stuff there, because yeah, there's a lot of I mean, they it just is a moving population. Skin, it's one organ, and it's a moving population. And all these little creatures, I mean, you think about it, if you know anything about cell biology, I'm right. These things are living creatures. Um, they can live for a certain amount of time outside of their own uh, environment, and some just die right away, but still in all, they have they're doing their little thing. And am I more am I anything different or more important? No. It's just craziness. It's just craziness. Okay, so you want to continue reading at the ultimate thought
Sure.
after we've gone through the
Now that we've gone on a little bit of a tangent, I,
uh,
and I like what Bob's been putting in the chat. When oops, hang on, I got to plug in here before my computer dies. Okay. Earlier, when you were talking about bless their hearts, he wrote it was like the church lady on Saturday Night Live saying, "Isn't that special?"
yes.
And but he also wrote about if it were not for the cancer, I would still be teaching ACIM from my ego. When I lost my voice, it was merely a time of purification for which I am grateful indeed. And we are too, Bob, because you've been, you wouldn't have done all of that writing if you could still speak. And speaking is very ephemeral. It, you know, lasts a second, if that, and drifts out of our and other people's minds. So that was a great service. Thank you for volunteering for that. And he also said, remember the imagery of the tree joining with Navi in Avatar. I do not remember. I don't know if I ever even saw the whole movie Avatar. I've just seen glimpses of it. I'll have to go back.
Ooh, we should watch it. That's a good movie. So
Yeah.
yeah, and
So,
something to what he was saying too. Yesterday, I was in a group with Sebastian Blakesley, and was it yesterday or Sunday? Anyway, we were talking about pain and sickness and etc. And what he said uh, was so beautiful and meaningful to me. He said, when you have these conditions, know that they're not a punishment. It's not something, a lesson for you to learn. None of these things you think it is. It's for you to transmute that for the whole world. So as you get these, whatever these conditions are, be grateful for them and allow the Holy Spirit to work through you to transmute it, because we're actually well, just as a miracle does, forgiveness, um, it collapses time. And this is what we're doing when we forgive these things, when we transmute, which is the same thing to me as forgiveness. When we transmute these things that seem to be occurring, we're collapsing the dream, collapsing time in the dream. And if it's completely forgiven, then there's nowhere in the world that it will ever exist again. If you completely, if I could completely forgive anything, it would remove it from the storyline, and it would no longer be a part of the dream. And this is really what we're doing here. Um, if there's any actual activity going on, what I think we're really doing here is undoing the dream, collapsing the dream, undoing the dream, letting go of all the thoughts that make the dream appear to be permanent and real. When we completely forgive it, it disappears. It's no longer in the library. It's gone.
So
And
do me a favor,
yes,
apply that theory to something like severe mental illness or schizophrenia. Because
well,
that I can do that with physical illness, but those kinds of mental illness
all right. Well, think
still
about first
trip me up.
when you say schizophrenia, you know that that's not one thing. You know that that's a thing that is uh, conditional to whoever has it. You know,
Hmm.
you can say a lot of things. It's this, it does this, it makes you act like this, it makes you look like this. You can say a lot of stuff about it, but you can't really say what it is because what it is undefinable. But it's a label that you can slap onto something, just like autism right now. People,
Hmm.
there's everybody's autistic in somewhere on the spectrum,
Oh
and what
yeah.
you can actually see is that there are certain genetic anomalies that give people a certain type of condition that we say, oh, that looks like autism, but really it's this missing gene or uh, uh, there's not one thing that's severe mental illness. So you have to start from that and recognize that it's your belief that there could be such a thing as severe mental illness that um, makes that appear real in your dream. So uh, also knowing that uh, when when it's gone from my dream, it is out of my world. I'm in a different world now. When we heal the whatever is broken or missing in this world, we move into a different um, different part of the dream, different kind of the dream, and uh, Jesus implies that throughout the course, but I think it's really hard to put into words what that is. But you do progress till you get to this place that what he calls the real world, where you don't have any of those things. So when I allow my belief in severe mental illness to be completely healed, I move into a world where there is no severe mental illness. And if I am in a world where I think there's severe mental illness, uh, then it hasn't been healed yet. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Hmm.
it's because it's 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 like layers of dream thoughts that as you remove them, they move out of your consciousness and they're no longer in your thought. I, anyway, I think I don't know how that means, but I think it actually means. And Dove has posted here. Let me put this up so I can actually read that. So uh, let's see. Okay, so Bob says schizo is a classic example of the split mind. It's a symbol, not a reality. That yes, and when we forgive that, then it no longer is necessary for us to learn the lesson. It's like you have to go back to kindergarten now. No, You graduated. You don't have this stuff. And Dove said, in my mom's case, Alzheimer's was helpful and loving for her. And Bob said, mine's too. And then Dove said, and that's what Alzheimer's is. It's a different world, and can be more evolved than this. It's living in the now. Exactly. So it is a different world. You just go into a different world, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think it's, you're still in the realm of thought, but you're and you probably, I don't know, my mom had dementia, but I think what Dove's really saying here is his mother probably had so much pain in her life. I know she lost a child. And believe me, if you don't have this process, that'll take a mother down. But the Alzheimer's was a gift. So if we look at everything, cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, as a gift, if we say to Spirit, what are you going to give me today? I'll take anything. That's when we really know that we are home, that we don't care anymore.
Very cool. And it looks like Bob says both my mother and mother-in-law succumbed to cognitive decline, and the inspiration for an essay on the subject, cognitive decline, blessing or curse. Yeah, thank you, Bob. I love that you think about these things and that you're able to
Yes, his work is amazing. Did you write something on this, Bob, or is this just
yeah, that's what
inspiration coming through?
he has an essay, cognitive decline, blessing or curse.
Oh my God. Yeah. His stuff, your stuff is just magical. It really is. It's just like any great scholar. But it's truly coming from Spirit, because it's a blessing. If we start to look like what Bob said, that his cancer was a blessing, and if we really look at that, and we know we're home, and all that the character was an idea, and then we can just pretty much get the whole world and just be done with, all the ridiculous concepts that keep coming up. And it's all what Mickey shared last night. It's all coming from specialness. There's a gravitational pull to specialness, because that's what we made up as the ego. But it's the one thing that you really, it keeps us in sin. It keeps us in separation. And so it's not worth any of it.
Well, and think about it, like you just were saying, cancer, Ken Wapnick, Nisargadatta Maharaj,
Right.
Ramana Maharshi, what cancer, who cares? That is a condition that is only in my mind. It wasn't in their mind. They weren't suffering from it. They were, they were just living and doing their thing. And we're the ones that say, "Oh my gosh, you poor thing, you need treatment." You know. Anyway, let's see. All right. Does anybody want to continue reading, or?
I'll keep reading. I mean, I only read one little paragraph so far.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, the ultimate thought at the bottom of this, which would help you get beyond it once and for all, is that you want her to be this way. You know there is that terrible Christian line, there but for the grace of God go I. If, as the ego claims, it is one or the other, then you are the healthy one, she is the sick one. You want her to be ill so that you do not have to be. She needs to be sacrificed so you can be saved from God's wrath. That is the real value. The fear, though, is that you will be found out and then punished by being made ill the same way. You will end up mentally ill too. And that's my huge fear. But your fear that you will become mentally ill is not the reality. The thought that would really help you, which is, I think, the linchpin that holds all this together, is, again, that you want her to be this way. Thus, your feeling guilty that you are not ill the way your sister is hides the real guilt, which is that you want her to be that way. Her illness is your secret wish. That is the source of your tears. Ooh, that's a little intense. So so I keep going back to the guy um, who likes to hang out in my neighborhood cafe, who wears the monk's robe and mumbles to himself, pacing back and forth on the sidewalk, and um, is clearly not in the same frame of mind that I am. I want him to be that way. I want him to take that on so that I can believe that I'm the sane one when I'm not sane because I think I'm here. I'm clearly as insane as he is because I think I'm in a body.
Yeah, you think you're Mickey.
Right.
And Mickey's neutral. Mickey has nothing. Like
Just like he thinks he's a monk,
right.
you know? Golly, Ned.
Look
Okay.
at this. Everything is a gift.
Uh-huh.
Is the best way to live. There's no other.
I'm
And I
gonna.
couldn't do that, but I see it as it's so clear now that
Mhm.
everything that ever happens, because in the end, we are by ourselves. There's nobody out there. So all we're doing is it's the mental masturbation is what Dove always calls it.
Mhm. Yeah.
For what? For a play that doesn't mean anything. That's what's so ridiculous.
Yep.
I certainly thought it meant a whole lot. So there.
Okay, should I go on?
Yeah.
Question. It is exhausting to discuss this. Boy, is it ever. And Ken's answer is yes, that is because you do not want to let it go. In a sense, your whole lifetime is built on the fact that you are the favored one. You are not sick. She is sick. I frequently quote the line from the psychotherapy pamphlet, and who could but weep for his innocence? Your tears are coming from your gift that you have thrown your innocence away by pretending that you are innocent and your sister is guilty. She is the sick one, not you. The source of the tears is that somehow you will be found out again and that you are not as innocent as you appear to be. I'm just as insane as the guy in the monk robes. The bottom line in your healing would be to see the investment you have in seeing her this way and always having seen her this way. What will save you, the way to enter God's presence, is to realize you and your sister are the same, not in the form of mental illness, but because you are thoughts of the same mind. That would help you begin the process of letting go of the investment in seeing her this way. Then the nightmare will be over and your mind will be healed of mental illness we all suffer from, guilt. And that's the same as, so the whole mental illness thing is the mind that's dreaming is mentally ill because it thinks it's projecting out into all these bodies thinking that they're real, that this dream is reality. We are all mentally ill and we're all part of that one organism that is mentally ill. And that's the organism needs to heal, not us individually. Because we're all the same. We're all just characters in the dream. We keep forgetting that. We're all just characters, right?
I know I keep forgetting that. And I still accuse people of being those characters, and and it really is an accusation. When you see anyone, how are you going to experience them? Either you're going to have a holy encounter, or you're going to judge them and experience or want them to be different, want them to see things your way, uh, think the way that you think, wear the kind of clothes you think are appropriate, because you ain't a monk, buddy. I mean, whatever it is that we think in our mind, and believe me, I'm not one to talk about clothing because I wear very unusual stuff most of the time, um, just because I like it. But um, that it's all my unhealed mind, my projection of my from my unhealed mind. And I love, he says, and he's just saying this extemporaneously when it's just like, people just ask him questions in these meetings, and he would just say this is exactly what he said, which always blows me away that it's so coherent and so cognate, really. But the idea that is so clear here is that when I stop condemning the world by my projection of guilt on things, then it will no longer uh, uh, appear to be guilty. It'll no longer appear to be anything wrong. You'll
Mm-hmm.
see that everybody's right. Everybody's in the right place. Everybody's doing the right thing. Everybody's here just, following the path. And no one has ever done anything wrong, ever.
Well, it's like what Karen was saying last night. Why would I accuse my brother of listening to the ego when I do it too?
In fact,
Why would
that's
I accuse
no.
my brother of judging when I do it too? Why would I accuse somebody of dressing inappropriately when I do it too? You know, it's it's all we're all thinking we're separate. We're all thinking that we're right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's just such a crazy thing. Uh, but that's how we're maintaining our separation, is by projecting out those judgments onto uh, everyone, everywhere, and everything, and including our own self, because that we're projecting it on our own body as well, our own mind, our own thinking. So that's it, turn off the projector.
Yeah. Thank you, you guys. You guys are the next time I see the guy in the monk's robes, I'm going to think of him entirely differently. He's no more insane than I am.
Yeah.
This is perfect. I love that. I'm loving this.
It's funny, he might be more sane than you are.
He might be. He might be. It's
Oh man.
hysterical.
All right. So do you want to continue reading?
Sure. That is a good example, actually, of seeing how you want to get beyond the perception and experience of differences to see the universal sameness, which we just did. Yeah, and Robert wrote, he knows he's talking to himself. The guy in the monk robes. That's a riot. Go back. We didn't go
You.
to Senate. Okay, thank you. You cannot do that as a body, though. You can do that only as a mind, and that is the way you will remember God. Okay, next question. Application to animals and pets. Question. I'm a veterinarian and I work with animals. Is it appropriate to approach this pretty much the same way with animals? I know when I am examining an animal, I feel I am connecting with that pet's mind. Do we assume that they have the same type of framework, that it is their mind's decision to suffer? Ken says, absolutely. There is a passage that comes in the form of a prayer saying, how holy is the smallest grain of sand when it is recognized as being part of the completed picture of God's Son. This has nothing to do with form. Remember what I began with, form and content. Homo sapiens is a form as lifeless as this lectern, watch, or book. The first law of chaos is that there is a hierarchy of illusions. That same section from which I quoted the part about painting rosy lips upon a skeleton says, there is no life outside of heaven. In the arrogance of our madness, we think there is a distinction between animate and inanimate. Imagine the absurdity of that. We actually think there is a difference. There is no life outside of heaven. There can be no hierarchy of illusions. Nothing is alive here. As an adult attending a puppet show with a child, you know that the table, chair, and puppet that is sitting in the chair are all the same. There is no difference among them, for they are only different pieces of wood carved in different ways, dressed differently, painted differently. This is how Jesus looks at all of this. Wow. Anybody want to speak about
Yeah,
that?
you know, everything here is alive. And when he's saying basically the aliveness comes from the awareness because the essence is alive. So as soon as we start to like the higher self, the vision, see that the essence is animating through all of us, through the trees, through everything, and it's all alive. But without that, there would be nothing because essence is what we truly are. We are the essence of God. So it's just like, well, I hope I'm clear. I don't know. But everything like, for instance, like when I go outside, I used to think the trees didn't have any life because they look so, just like an inanimate, well, they're alive. We know that, but they really talk to each other. There's several books that I haven't read myself, but I've been told about where I think it was John Mundy that said that the trees actually talk to themselves because the essence is aliveness. And so without the essence, we're just stuck in thought. And the essence is there, it's always there. But when it becomes alive is when we move, love's awareness comes out. And the love's awareness is the presence. And the presence is always here, but it seems to stay dormant until the aliveness wakes up and says, oh shit, I thought I was Sharon, but I'm not. I'm everything and nothing. I'm emptiness. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's seeing the forest or the trees,
right.
it's all the same. That's what I was saying earlier. It's interesting that we're into this now. Dove, yes, please go ahead. Are you muted, Dove?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm just reading what Mickey was just reading. They're all different pieces of wood, carved in different ways, dressed differently, painted differently. This is how Jesus looks at all of us. Somehow that reminded me. This is a two different looks at the same thing. Somehow that reminded me of, I meet a lot of people on social media, and so many people will use the expression, I hate a liar. A lot of people just use that, I hate a liar. And what I have noticed is that most of the people who I meet are definitely lying to me. I mean, I'm not going to go into what it is, but they're definitely lying. So I say to myself, be grateful for your triggers. Why is this happening to you, Dove? So it came to me, we are all liars. And I think that's pretty much what Sharon had just said. I mean, we're all, everyone here is a liar. It's like playing liar's poker. That's what I want to share.
I love that, Dove,
We are
because
never the body. That's the whole point. Because if we know we're mind and we are the decision-making mind, then the choice comes. But if we think we're these bodies that are walking around, it's impossible to see that you're not there. But just looking at the fact that Ken really drives this home. You are a decision-making mind. You're never mad at another person. You're mad at the ego mind because it's only the ego and Holy Spirit that's here. And we're just playing these parts simply to just bring up all the stuff that we believe that's not love. So, yeah. I mean, everybody's a liar, but I don't think we're conscious of it. In fact, but we do. Like for me, I feared going crazy. Well, what would that bring me? That would bring me annihilation from people. Well, that's where we're all afraid that God will annihilate us because we're bad in some way.
Yeah.
And none of us did anything wrong. In fact, you need to do nothing is probably the truest part of the course, but to not interfere. And that's all I did was interfere because that separate self meant something to this mind until it didn't. That's all. So when my wife asks, Robert says, does this dress make me look fat? I say, I better lie. How about it? Every one of us is like that. I love it. And you're a smart man, Robert. So there.
Yeah,
Go
go ahead.
So, like all of Jesus' disciples, they were different kinds of aspects. It was like Judas is known as the betrayer, and no one can forgive betrayal. I mean, I'm not going to go into all the others. Thomas was a doubter, Peter was the denier, but everybody can be forgiven. You have St. Peter's Cathedral, and the Vatican. You have Thomas of Aquinas. But no one ever calls their church or the children Judas. You know what I mean? So why is that? That's because nobody can forgive betrayal. Now, if we look at betrayal is just being a liar. A betrayer is just denying and lying. That's all a betrayer is. And if you're in body form, you have denied and betrayed yourself, for sure. You have denied yourself, you have betrayed yourself. So there's no one in body form that likes a lie, basically. Mickey?
well, we're all lying because we're lying to ourselves. We think this is real. That's a lie. We all think that our version of reality is the truth, and it's all a lie. So of course we're lying. It's just some people want to do it overtly, more overtly than the rest of us.
Yeah. The ego is a liar, period.
Exactly.
So
And we're believing it, and then we're telling other people what ego is telling us.
There is no world, exclamation point, lesson 132 is saying there is no world. The world is a lie.
Yeah, I just put up here, why did I just lose it here? I'm so stupid. I'm not stupid. But you were mentioning Judas, and of course, Judas is really the only person that Jesus actually mentions in the course.
Yes.
And we're talking about betrayal, lying, betrayal, and this is how I got the idea when people were saying, like Jesus didn't do this or did do that, or he turned over the tables in the temple, and they have all kind of reasons why they think he would have done that. But I think he says right here, these are some of the examples of upside down thinking in the New Testament. although its gospel is really only the message of love. If the apostles had not felt guilty, they could never have quoted me as saying, I come not to bring peace but a sword. This is clearly the opposite of everything I taught, nor could they have described my reaction to Judas as they did. If they had really understood me, I could not have said, Betrayest thou the Son of Man with a kiss, unless I believed in betrayal. Right? I didn't, the whole message of the crucifixion was simply that I did not. The punishment I was said to have called forth upon Judas was a similar mistake. Judas was my brother and a son of God, as much of the sonship as myself. Was it likely that I would condemn him when I was ready to demonstrate that condemnation is impossible? That paragraph right there, Jesus talking about, is this something when Jesus, he's turning over tables in the temple? That don't sound like Jesus. He could not have done that. He would never have done a thing like that. He was not condemning anyone in any way. So all those stories that people believe from the New Testament are bullshit. And we should recognize that. Don't believe everything that you read there. Recognize the person that Jesus was could not have ever done any of those things that they said. Cursing a fig tree and making it die, or anything that was anything other than demonstration of love.
If you listen to Ken Wapnick, he'll tell you the Bible, both Old and New Testaments, is written by the ego. The ego wrote the Bible.
Yep. And that is absolutely true. All right, so our time is up for this, Mickey, but we can go on because we're just going on to talk about chapter 15 next. So go ahead, Mickey.
I just wanted you to click on that meme that I put up,
Oh,
that Joni posted that to Prudence's group this morning, and I thought it was so great and funny. But you have to click on it, double click on it for it to come up larger for everybody.
so you say.
Do you see it there in the chat?
Yeah, I'm clicking on it.
Oh, it won't come up? All
Um,
right. Never mind then. It's
wait,
hysterical. I thought it was very fun and pretty apropos to what we're talking about.
well, let me try it again. I think my computer is just kind of saying.
I say it. It says, hold up, everybody calm down. None of this is real. You're attending Earth School with an erased memory for experience purposes only. So calm down. The real you is totally fine.
I
Yes.
love that one.
Hold up. All
Hold
right.
up.
Hold up. Everybody calm down.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop this YouTube. I don't know. I'm confused now. Suddenly, what is happening here?
I just wanted to say, when we make even Jesus real as a person, that he lived a life, even that's putting more credence into the dream. Because really, we are all Jesus. That's basically what the whole course is saying. We are holy. Jesus is a thought of love. That's what we are. Anyway, I thought I'd add that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm freaking out a little bit here because this thing is not letting me turn off the YouTube. It's not reacting to my mouse here. Let me see.
Lynn, can I show something while you're doing that?
Sure.
Yeah, I just thought this was funny. Oh, I have to put my video on to do this because otherwise I can't show you anything. This is true meaning of the word dog-eared, and this is Ken's book. And this is what Domino did. Not Domino's not one of my current dogs. I remember being crushed at the time. God, I was so mad at the dog. It's the only book he's ever dog-eared. But it was like, that's not perfect anymore. What have you done to my Ken Wapnick book with the specialness and all? So I just wanted to share that because it
Cute.
makes me smile when I see this now, you know.
That is hilarious. Yeah, that thing locked my computer up when I was trying to open it because I don't know what this is. So anyway, yeah, go ahead and click on that if you want to copy that. And I'm going